Hello today. Welcome to the greatest year in music history, the only podcast about the greatest year in music history. I'm John.
And I'm Jen. And just in case you're new here, the year is 1997, and we're here to prove it's the greatest year in music history, one album at a time. But before we launch into today's album, we do need to remind you that this is all based on peer-reviewed empirical scientific data.
That's right. I mean, the whole pod is not based on personal opinion at all. We know a lot of listeners might think this is subjective, but it's actually not.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But so obviously we're joking, and you can't actually isolate all the best music to a single year.
Or can you?
But so today's album is a little controversial.
Why though? What would make this one controversial? I don't understand.
So it's $3 Bill Y'all by Limp Bizkit.
That's right. You heard us right. You read that right when you clicked play on the episode.
You are listening. But, okay, the reason I say it's controversial is because it is definitely not... I mean, nobody is like, you know what one of the best albums in music history is? $3 Bill Y'all.
Well, that's what's funny is that I ran across a few different articles, some of which are somewhat recent.
Okay.
Now, it might have been, COVID fog, but I saw one, I think it was Metal Hammer in 2020 or 2021. They ranked like best metal albums or something, and like this was on there, and then some other one, I forgot which publication it was ranking, I guess, like rap metal albums.
Yeah.
Which, okay, fine.
It's this.
But yeah, I mean, they're still around.
No way. Well, yeah.
I'm sure to some it seemed gimmicky at the time, you know, but they're still around. Korn's still around. I mean, bands like this are still around selling, or I don't know about selling out, but selling huge shows.
Yeah. So I know that it's not everyone's cup of tea, and literally the band Limp Bizkit, I was reading, not only did they choose the name Limp Bizkit to literally like push people away.
Nice.
They admit that their entire, I guess, image and like everything about them is shock value.
Yeah.
Especially at the beginning. And this was their debut album. They were purposefully being over the top and angry and aggressive and weird and let's choose the stupidest name, because they didn't want just the casual listener to check them out. They wanted to like let the music speak for itself, or have like people like it for the music if they were into that sort of thing.
That's interesting.
I know.
One of the things I read was that they, I guess, used to cover the George Michael song Faith as like not a joke, but kind of like, well, wouldn't it be funny if a band like us covered a George Michael song?
Right.
Because that's so unexpected and it's so just strange to hear coming from a band like this.
Yeah.
And it kind of got me thinking, like, I guess that was probably the first song that I heard from them. Like, I was trying to think back what was the first memory of the band, and similar to bands like Korn and this kind of nu metal, rap metal subgenre, like it wasn't there one day and then it was just there.
Yeah.
I don't remember it starting. I don't remember, this is early internet. There's no buzz. There's no Twitter there's no Twitter buzz, I should say. And it was there, and it was huge all of a sudden.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Did you also read that not only were they covering Faith by George Michael, I need to Google it. I didn't yet. Apparently they used to cover Straight Up by Paula Abdul.
Oh, wow.
But like early days and like live only.
I don't think there's a recording.
I've never heard it.
No.
I know. But anyway. Okay, so Faith, you think was the first time you heard them?
I think so.
Yeah. I specifically remember seeing the music video for Counterfeit Countdown.
Okay.
And it was like late. I don't know if it was like 120 minutes or something. And I remember thinking, what is this? Because I actually was never into Korn in Korn's early days.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked Deftones a lot, but
of course.
We already go check out episode 4.
Yes.
They were kind of in their own, they weren't exactly nu metal the same way Korn and Limp Bizkit were.
No.
But
they definitely
were
more rap metal, if that's even a thing.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I saw the music video for Counterfeit Countdown late one day and I was like, what is this? Mm-hmm. Why do I love it? Like, I can't ignore the fact that it was kind of catchy. And I'm sure it was because I was 12 at the time and I was like, do I like boy bands or do I like
rap metal?
What's my identity? Yeah. And so my whole identity was, one day it was Hanson and NSYNC and the next day it was Limp Bizkit.
Wow.
I know.
Unbelievable.
I know. But so what do you think after listening to it? Do you think it still rules?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's been so memed and parodied at this point where we're at now, but if you start to listen like song by song, if you can get past some of the cheesy rap elements, and our real fans will know, I gravitate towards the metal side and all the riffs and everything.
Yeah.
Like, these riffs still hold up.
Right.
They're great.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time I was very aggressive and a lot of screaming and whatever that I don't really remember, or I didn't remember it being this aggressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know what sticks out in my brain the most in regarding Limp Bizkit and this era of nu metal is literally when we watched the Woodstock 99 doc on HBO Max.
It's called Max :
the
one to watch for HBO.
Max : the one to watch this. So when we watched it on that network, I can't remember who said it, but one of the commentators was like, you love to hate them and they catch a lot of slack. And what do you mean you like Limp Bizkit? You're weird. And she was like, at that point in time in our history as a society, we as a society created Limp Bizkit.
That's true.
Created Korn. That's what was called for in that time, because there were angry people and then there were the people that didn't resonate with boy bands or girl bands.
Right.
And they were like, what do we listen to? I don't want to listen to NSYNC or Hanson.
Yeah.
But I'm also like low key angry all the time because I don't want to do what my parents tell me. Like there was like pop punk kind of coming out a little bit, and you could go that way, but
it wasn't really that mainstream in 97.
Right. And so I think when Korn and Limp Bizkit and Deftones hit in 97, there was this huge just surge of energy and fan base, because the fans were asking. We needed this as a society.
Yeah, it was bizarrely mainstream.
Right.
And especially if you listen to it now, compared to what the, I guess, top hits are or whatever of today, where now it's all kind of singers. Mm-hmm. But back then it was like you could watch TRL and number one and, you know, go back and forth of day to day or week to week or whatever of 1 and 2 or would be either Korn or Christina Aguilera or Limp Bizkit
and Britney Spears
or Backstreet Boys or whatever.
Blink. I know. It's mind blowing, but that just hit me so hard. I was like, she's right. We created this.
Yes, it was birthed from angst.
Yeah, exactly.
At least as far as the mainstream goes. Because, I mean, there was a really, of course, vibrant, you know, metal scene, punk hardcore scene in the 90s. But none of that reached the surface, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I love all those bands, you know, not many people now are walking down the street, you know, in an Earth Crisis t-shirt like I want to be, whereas like Limp Bizkit's still, like, everyone really knows who that is.
Right. I know. I just saw while I was on YouTube to watch their music videos again. I forget. It was the other day Fred Durst was getting interviewed. It may have been, I don't remember who, but the interviewer was like, so who's at the shows that you play now, today, like 2021?
40-year-olds and their children.
And Fred Durst was like, I ask at almost every show, like, is this your first Limp Bizkit show? Every hand goes up. And then he asks the crowd, who's under like 30 years old? Every hand goes up.
Really?
He's like, so I know that the people that listened to us back in 97 aren't coming to our shows nowadays because they're not into it.
No, my back hurts.
I know. My feet hurt.
Yeah.
I need to lay down or at least sit. But so the resurgence is here. These kids like Limp Bizkit, I guess. It's not.
It sounds like an insane statement, but I guess it's not, because they are, you know, because they kind of did this weird comeback, and everyone kind of, or maybe not everyone, maybe it was just me, kind of thought like, oh, is this a joke or whatever? And then there was like an album, which I never listened to, but
they called it, the album was called Still Sucks.
Oh, wow.
See, that's good. The thing. They know.
That's just good comedy writing.
Yeah. Like, I've heard Mark McGrath say, I know that we're like a kind of, not joke, but, you know.
Like play a state fair at noon.
Right.
For free.
And Limp Bizkit is self-aware too.
Yes, self-aware. That's perfect.
They know they're not the Beach Boys or the Beatles or Rolling Stones. They know they're just a blip. Yeah. And it's a subgenre, and they aren't on like top lists of anyone's list. Yeah. You know? Sorry.
It's true. Yeah.
Anyway, I'll come down.
But that's kind of, I mean, that kind of like, I mean, that reminds me of us, you know, we've never seen them. Oh. Live.
I've seen them.
You've seen them?
Yeah.
Really?
We're going to talk about it in a minute.
Okay. Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, I haven't. I never had the pleasure.
Oh, well, soon. Someday.
Yeah. Well, because I think, I mean, I was at a weird age, right? Like, you know, this coming out, and I think the next one a couple years later, you know, that was before I could like even drive, and like they weren't playing anywhere near where we were living.
Well, that's the funny thing about Woodstock 99, the doc. Yeah. I remember I was visiting my aunt and uncle, and they paid, like that summer, they paid the pay-per-view fee to like watch the Woodstock 99 live feed.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was so many great bands. I remember being 14 in 1999 and wishing so badly. I wish I could go to Woodstock 99. Watching that doc, I am so grateful.
Oh,
what on earth?
We wouldn't have made it alive.
No, literally, people died.
Yeah, and it was just looks gross.
I know. So, I'm grateful to be naive and, well, a little bit. But anyway,
we'll circle back on that.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So favorite song, well, you like guitar.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
those riffs still hold up. I'm sorry, I know I said it before. I'll say it again. The first few have some of the better riffs.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had to choose a favorite, Pollution, Counterfeit, Stuck, those are really good. But I think my actual favorite is probably Leech, maybe?
Yeah.
It's like the most aggressive, or it has the most prolonged aggression.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones, they'll go really hard and then they'll dip back into, kind of the hip hop side. And that's fine, but it's not really for me.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Yeah. I think Counterfeit's my favorite. Probably just, not because it was the first one I ever heard, but I just love it. And then I always knew it was about, people that are fake. Counterfeit.
Right.
But I found out today that I guess it was inspired because when they first started in like 1994 and they were doing this rap metal thing, like 5 other bands in Jacksonville, Florida were like, oh, I want to do the rap metal thing. And we're starting to copy them.
Wow.
So they wrote Counterfeit.
Okay.
About the other bands being fake or like randomly deciding that's what they wanted to change into because of Limp Bizkit. I know. Isn't that cool?
And where are these bands today?
Where are they now? I don't know. But yeah, I think Counterfeit's my favorite, but honestly, I like Pollution, Leech, Indigo. I like them all.
All?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I could probably skip the last song, which everything. It's like, yeah. And the intro is just a sermon.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I didn't think I was going to bring this up, but there are plenty of times where they allude to like, not religion, but like God and Jesus, and they don't mention praying, but literally for a split second, I was like, are they a Christian rock band?
Hey, at this point, you never know.
I don't know. And then I saw some interview where Fred was like, yeah, they think we're this like weird alt rock, like shock value band, which we are going for, but they don't realize that we're praying before we go out on stage.
Even Wes?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Because, his whole vibe is the visual shock value.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially like in the Counterfeit video, it's like 3/4 of the way, typical 90s, there's a fisheye lens.
Yeah.
They have silly hats on, they're headbanging around or whatever.
Sepia tone, just like.
Yeah. And then like they'll diminish the quality.
Yeah.
To just make it look kind of grungy and whatever.
Yeah.
But Wes has like white contacts on, long black hair, and a corset.
Yeah. Very Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Of the time. Yeah.
Of the time.
And the other guys are like in this standard, I don't know if it was necessarily Carhartt shirts, but like, t-shirt, and at the time, very popular Dickies and Converse or whatever. Just unironically, Wes next to them in full makeup or a teddy bear outfit or whatever,
right.
Which is very, it's the Marilyn Manson, but it's very, it's Kiss, it's Alice Cooper, it's
right.
That whole shock rock, bringing it back in the 90s.
Yeah. Do you know what else I found out today is that I guess they formed in 94 and Wes was with them since very close to the beginning. And then he left the band.
I did read that, yeah.
And that they had kind of two offers on the table for a record label. And one was something called Mojo, and then the other one was called Flip. But Flip Records was a subsidiary of Interscope, which was huge.
Right.
Well, the CEO of Mojo was like, well, you're going to have to flip over your van if you think you're going to sign with Interscope. And then they flipped their van while on the road, and it flipped over 5 times. They all
purposefully, like, guys, we got to do this. We got to get to Interscope. Hit that rock.
No, like in a terrible accident.
Wow.
They all got seriously injured. And then they had some awakening, and they were like, okay, we're not only are we going with Interscope, they like made amends with Wes, and Wes came back and was like, okay, I'm in the band.
That's crazy because there's no Limp Bizkit without Wes.
Right.
Like, I don't know what could replace
nothing.
And I mean, I'm biased as a guitarist, but yeah.
Didn't you have guitars that were like 7-string?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, this was my first, I guess, awareness of how does the song sound so heavy? Oh, it's because he's using a 7-string guitar, which is significantly, down-tuned, in addition to being a 7-string guitar, which is already inherently, you can get a lower end sound, it's really beefy or whatever. And I definitely had his, like, maybe not signature, like, super expensive version, but I had a purple Ibanez. I mean, it's Ibanez, but everyone calls it Ibanez.
Wow.
I definitely had the ad too.
Yeah.
Like
his
from the magazine of him with that guitar and that same color or whatever. So I had to have it. And
wow.
It was really cool. I mean, I got to learn how to play a lot of different unique stuff because having that 7th string opens the doors.
Yeah.
Considerably. And then as you got older and you realize, well, he wasn't the first person to ever have a 7-string guitar.
Yeah.
A lot of people use them wildly differently in different genres too. But a lot of the dudes in those bands at that time were really pushing the 7-string, like Korn and Stained and of course Deftones.
Yeah.
Although not in 97, but
right.
Later on until today.
Wow.
It's all 7-string. Some of them even do 8-string. And then you're seeing a lot of the influence, I think, Wes Borland has on the what I don't even know really what's the pronunciation, gent or whatever. Like that whole genre. I mean, a lot of that Wes was doing in 97. Yeah.
Right.
And you hear some of the riffs and you see some of the strange tunings and the guitar setups and whatever from bands like, Spirit Box and Ghost Inside and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
A lot of that is very Wes Borland coded, in my opinion. Amazing.
Yeah. I've never played guitar, but my love for Wes Borland runs deep.
Yes, that's true.
And that's because I don't even really like shock value of anything. I would be the person that is like put off. But because I was 12 and I was like, what do I do? What's my identity? I think I was just drawn to them. Mm-hmm. And I think he's amazing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's...
At what he does. And his drawings and his caricatures and his makeup and everything.
Yeah, the whole persona. I mean, not only is he playing crazy riffs and obviously writing them as well, but He's sometimes doing it, in a teddy bear costume, right. Or just like an egg, or in like full, like two-tone,
right?
Paint.
Yeah.
With thick, weird contacts on, and I've never worn contacts. I don't know how that
Blue
works.
Man, I know.
But
yeah,
like how are you able to do all that?
I know.
Even now, he still does it.
It's true. Yeah. Oh, one other thing that I was reading earlier today or yesterday. So I guess there was like beef between Fred Durst and the lead singer of Slipknot.
You don't say.
I don't know what that was. Truly, I don't know. But then I read that at some point, Corey Taylor, the lead singer of Slipknot, actually admitted to crediting $3 this album as an influence to Slipknot's self-titled album that came out in 99.
I can definitely see that.
Can you believe?
Yeah.
I'm watching the Counterfeit video, and towards the end, they're all wearing jumpsuits. It's like Dickies, and they're like either black or dark blue. I can't tell because sepia.
Right.
And I'm like, Slipknot?
Little do we know they would all be in jumpsuits.
Yeah. So that was interesting to hear. But yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I can hear the influence for sure. Yeah. Especially on that first album.
Yeah.
First two, maybe, total.
Yeah. So should I talk about the time I saw them live?
Let's do it.
So it was Family Values 99, and it was Limp Bizkit headlining. There was also Filter, Stained, and Method Man and Redman.
They always come as a package deal.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
Like when we saw them, it was the same thing.
Oh, true. Yeah.
That's good to see, though.
Yeah.
They have fun.
And that's because we saw, well, I didn't see with my own eyes, but we were at Fuddruckers before the show.
Shout out to Fuddruckers.
And
this is the one across from the Alamo?
It is.
Of course.
And I think one of the employees was like, oh my God, there's Method Man. And we all turned to look, and she meant like outside, but we never saw him. I don't know. I don't know if it was a myth, but we saw him at the show because we were right on the barricade. So it was me and my sister and my dad took us, and we were on the barricade, and Method Man came down like to the floor, and he sang like right in front of me.
That's crazy. I mean, I knew that.
Yeah.
But I forgot about it until just now.
It was so cool. And then, yeah, it was such a good show. Fun story leading up to the show. Okay, so we go to Fuddruckers, eat burgers, see Method Man, sort of.
Sure.
Then we're standing in line outside the Alamo Dome, and there's multiple doors, and so there's a line at each door, and we're all just waiting to go in. Well, a person is cutting through the middle of all of the lines, and they cut like right in front of me and my dad, and to get from one side to the other. Well, as he's cutting in front of our line, in front of me and my dad, he pulls his hand out of his pocket, and a wad of cash
sick
falls out of his pocket.
Fantastic.
And before I could even go, my dad grabbed it and was like, don't say anything. And I was like, oh.
Well, how else are you going to pay for them fancy Fuddruckers hot dogs and burgers?
Exactly. So I was just like, well, all right, okay, we're just going to keep this wad of cash. And then we're standing in line forever and ever and ever. And like 5 lines over, all of a sudden somebody starts shouting my dad's name. And he's like, do y'all hear that? Is somebody calling me? And he starts looking over, and he's looking and he's looking, and he sees a hand up like 5 lines over, and he realizes it's somebody he knows. And now he's just shouting to this person that he knows from 5 lines over, and he's like, hey. And the guy's like, I saw what you did.
Wow.
And my dad's like, what do you mean? And he's like, I thought this was Family Values.
That's pretty good.
And anyway, we get inside and my dad goes to the restroom and he comes out and he was like, it was 27 ones. It was just a wad of ones.
It wasn't like $1,000.
No, it was.
And in that sea of people, what are you going to do? Like, you're not going to lose your place in line.
Yeah.
No way.
No. And so we were able to get like half a t-shirt with $27.
Sure. Half of one for you all to share.
Yeah. But
although back then maybe it wasn't that bad.
No, I think it was still $35 for a shirt.
Wow.
I know. Ridiculous. So we got a sleeve of a shirt. I'm just kidding. No, we and then yeah, it was just the best show. I was on cloud nine. I had like wished and prayed and hoped to see Limp Bizkit someday. And then it finally came true. I saved my Janko pants that I wore.
Oh my God.
Never washed them. Still had the confetti in the pockets.
Of course.
But yeah, it was great. Dream come true.
Unbelievable.
Back then. I know.
And this was 99, so had Significant Other come out yet, or?
Maybe. I don't.
It had to have been around.
Yeah.
At least like a single or something, right?
Maybe. I don't remember it actually out though.
Interesting.
They may have played like, oh, this is a new song coming out soon.
Sure.
I should find the set list. But it was great.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I mean, I know, as far as their other music's concerned, I completely dropped off after the second album.
Oh, same.
I mean, I don't think I ever listened, even out of like nostalgia's sake, from age 14 till
today.
This
weekend. Yeah, same. Yeah.
But I remember really loving the first two albums at the time. Now I'm kind of, it's interesting to go back and, like, not what were we thinking? Because a lot of it does still hold up. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting compared to, because I know they had other albums, at least 2 or 3. I know there's a really long gap between. Yeah. But by then it became such a parody of itself.
I know.
With the memes, well, not back then, but yeah. Even just the videos, it was kind of like, okay, well, this is just silly. Yeah. So this definitely ranks as their best by default, at least for me. What about you?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, Significant Other was pretty good, but yeah, I love $3 Bill Y'all. I even drew the $3 Bill Y'all cover on my book cover at school.
Fantastic.
Who I don't know who I am.
I hardly knew you.
Or who I was. Yeah. So silly.
So did this ever come off as overplayed to you?
No. It, like, even Faith I still love.
I think Faith is where it did get overplayed, because but it makes sense when I was thinking about it. Like, well, they're this really big band, and a lot of the other songs are really maybe a little too aggressive for drive time radio play. Yeah. Or vulgar or whatever. So Faith was an easy way to keep playing them on the radio. Right. Oh, yeah. Because it's like, oh, it's a George Michael cover. Other than, I think, one F-bomb, which is easy to bleep. Right. On the radio, it was largely radio friendly. Mm-hmm. So hearing that so many times on the radio and everything, and then they play the video endlessly. Again, because when there's less to bleep, it's easier to play this really popular band song on MTV, on the radio, whatever. Yeah. One
last thing before we get into ratings. Did you see that this was produced by Ross Robinson?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that either until today or yesterday. And apparently he produced Korn, Slipknot, but also Glassjaw, both Worship and Tribute and Everything You Ever Want to Know About Science, and Relationship of Command by
The one and only.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
At the drive-in. I know. And one song off of Adrenaline by Deftones.
One song. Hey, good for him, you know?
But so Terry Date did the other. Anyway,
right.
I was like, wow. So then I realized, or apparently Ross Robinson's like nickname is the Godfather of nu metal.
Wow.
I know. But
do you think he has a plaque?
He goes so far back as to produce Fear Factory.
Right.
In 91. And I think all of these bands, all of them, were influenced by Fear Factory.
100%.
Yeah.
100% agree. Yeah, Fear Factory is definitely one of the OGs. And you didn't know the term nu metal.
Right.
But they were kind of pioneering that.
Not in 91.
In the early 90s, yeah.
Yes. So, anyway, I just thought that was really cool. But, yeah.
Should we get into ratings?
Yeah. I think so. What do you think?
Something tells me you're going to be a little higher on this one than me. No, I don't know. I mean, I think listening back, you know, just the combination of some of the songs being, you know, these really good parts, really, you know, aggressive and interesting and different and unique at the time. And I didn't know that there were so many kind of slow, longer songs.
True.
Not just the last one that's kind of just like a filler, or not filler, just kind of like a
right.
I don't know, outro song or whatever.
Yeah.
But and it's like 10 minutes or something.
15 minutes.
15, 16 minutes, something like that.
Too long.
But even the other ones, I mean, some of them are just kind of like slow, and I was like, okay, I don't know. So I'm gonna go with my halfway point, rounded up again. Give it a 50.
Oh, okay.
I know, pretty low, but
no,
that's where my heart is.
That's all right. I think I'd give it maybe like a 82.
Okay.
Out of 97.
I like that.
Yeah. Again, I'm not usually the one to fall for shock value, so I'm surprised I like this album as much as I do, but I do. I blame Wes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we could both. That's where we both meet with the band.
Wes Borland.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think with that, I'll probably do it for this week. Thanks everyone for listening. Make sure to follow us on social. We're at Greatest Music Pod, all your favorite social platforms.
Yeah, and tell us, do you love to hate them? Do you hate to love them? We want to hear
both.
Or both, yeah. And give us a follow and a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, all those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And next week, we're going to mix things up a little bit. We're going to do our first soundtrack, and it's nothing like Limp Bizkit. It's Spice World, so get ready.
Yes.
See you next week.